ago, we asked Mr. Mizuno for details. At number 2 reactor, they're saying that there is a possibility that damage is done to suppression pool, but so far we are not getting new information. It seems like Tokyo Electric Power Company is not grasping the situation. But it seems like, according to the situation, the Chief Cabinet Secretary held a news conference, and the number 1 reactor and number 3 reactor, the operators have been ordered to evacuate. So we are seeing the operators working at number 1 and number 3 reactors being evacuated as well. Let me use this diagram again. Suppression pool was a place where the blast was heard. And blasts have been heard many times, but in number 1 reactor, number 3 reactor, outer buildings were blown off. And suppression pool is located at the bottom of this container vessel. And the pressure was falling in the container vessel, so indicating that possibility that there's something wrong with the container vessel. Container vessel is the last line of defense to prevent radioactive substances from being released to the air. But we do not know yet if it's actually broken.
But an explosive sound from this area indicates that some kind of damage could have occurred, and that may lead to radiation from leaking. And the water here is contaminated with radioactive substances, so there is this risk of this water leaking out. Now, inside the reactor, the water level hasn't increased. Of course, you have to bring up the water level so that the fuel rods are not exposed. And there are people still remaining and trying to inject water into the pressure vessel. But still, we now understand that a very serious situation is developing at the power plant. Now, Professor Sekimura, after 6 a.m., there was an explosive sound. The suppression pool could have been damaged. How do you see the situation? Well, the suppression pool usually has an atmospheric pressure about 3. That went down to 1, meaning that some kind of damage could have occurred. And the containment of radioactive material. First of all, for the fuel rods, you have the metal coating, maybe that has been damaged, and also concerning the reactor pressure vessel, the valves are now open, so maybe there is other damage there as well. And the reactor containment vessel, which is the last line of defense to contain radiation, this at the suppression chamber may have experienced some damage. So the containment of radioactive substances, all the walls created around the radioactive material, it seems that there are damages at several different places of these protective walls around radioactive substances. So damage to the protection walls. Now, there are several walls protecting this. So if the suppression chamber wall is damaged, that is very serious. Yes. The suppression chamber is at the bottom of the reactor containment vessel. It's at the very bottom, right there on that chart. And Tokyo Electric said that the top part of the containment vessel, which is called the dry well, they say that the pressure there has not gone down. So the large part of the radioactive substances are contained within the containment vessel. Therefore, it doesn't mean that a large portion of that radiation will be immediately emitted outside. So now the water injection operation has been continuing to cool down the reactor, and this will continue. Yes. Depending on how much the water level has recovered, water injection operations will continue, and that is very necessary. Now, according to information that we've received since last night, we've heard that the water level is not stable. It's very difficult to stabilize the water level. Yes, pumps are being used to inject seawater into the reactor.
700
And
millimeters
the reactor pressure
lower than
vessel,
the top of
if the pressure inside
the-
this pressure vessel
was-
is high, it's very difficult to pump water inside. So that's why the pressure valve was opened to bring down the pressure somewhat so that the vessel can accept water from coming in. Let us confirm the latest information once again. Tokyo Electric Fukushima No. 1 nuclear power plant reactor No. 2 experienced an explosion of sorts. There was an explosive sound heard around the suppression pool or suppression chamber, and the pressure inside went down, and the radiation level in the vicinity went up suddenly, and so non-critical staff members have been evacuated. Nuclear and Industrial Safety Agency, as well as Tokyo Electric Company, says that reactor No. 2 at the No. 1 nuclear power plant in Fukushima has experienced some kind of explosion. An explosive sound was heard around the suppression chamber, causing the pressure inside the chamber to go down. They say that it is possible that some kind of damage occurred in the chamber, and the radiation reading in the immediate vicinity of the power plant went up to 965.5 microsievert, which is above the level of emergency situation reporting to the government. Therefore, some of the staff members working in the area has been evacuated. People who were evacuated were people not involved in the water injection operations. They have moved to safe places nearby.
Nuclear Industrial Safety Agency says that no details have been discovered so far. If there's any crack in this suppression chamber, the leakage depends on the magnitude or degree of leakage depends on whether the leakage is liquid or vapor. The fuel rods are exposed for some period of time, and fuel rods are exposed about 2.7 meter length. And that is about half of the fuel rods being exposed. And TEPCO is continuing the water injection operation. Now we go to the TEPCO's news conference. We apologize for causing such an incident and causing concerns on the public.